Silakan Amanda.
Ya. Selamat siang, Bapak, Ibu, rekan-rekan semua. Saya Amanda, MC pada kegiatan kita siang ini. Mohon bersabar menunggu peserta yang lain. Tetap pastikan mic Anda dalam posisi mute selama kegiatan berlangsung. Kita akan memulai 5 menit lagi. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the webinar in 5 minutes. Please stay tuned. Mohon bersabar menunggu peserta yang lain. Tetap pastikan mic Anda dalam posisi mute selama kegiatan berlangsung. Kita akan memulai 3 menit lagi. We will start the webinar in 3 minutes. Mohon bersabar menunggu peserta yang lain. Tetap pastikan mic Anda dalam posisi mute selama kegiatan berlangsung. Kita akan memulai dalam 2 menit lagi. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the webinar in 2 minutes. Please stay tuned. Selamat siang, Bapak, Ibu, rekan. Kita akan memulai webinar kita. Terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Dalam kesempatan siang ini, kita akan membahas tema mengenai Notification Management Fault Tolerance System. Good afternoon, everybody. We will start our webinar. We will talk and discuss about Notification Management Fault Tolerance System. Webinar ini merupakan kegiatan dari APTIKNAS, Asosiasi Pengusaha Teknologi Informasi dan Komunikasi Nasional, didukung oleh event cerdas, mitra transformasi digital Anda, dan media partner discom.web.id, portal IT dan Law Indonesia. This webinar is one of activity from APTIKNAS, Indonesia ICT Business Association, supported by Event Cerdas, your digital transformation partner and media partner discom.web.id, Indonesia IT and Law Portal. Kegiatan ini akan dimoderator oleh Fanky selaku Ketua APTIKNAS DKI Jakarta. This webinar will be moderated by Fanky Regional Chairman of APTIKNAS Jakarta. Silakan Pak Fanky.
Baik, terima kasih Mbak Amanda. Selamat siang Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian. Tetap semangat, tetap sehat ya. Selamat bertemu kembali dalam kegiatan kita pada siang kali ini. Kita akan membahas tentang sepanjang bulan Juni ini, kita tiap Kamis kita akan membahas tentang fault tolerance system ya, tentang fault tolerance system. Nah, dalam kesempatan kali ini siang ini kita akan hadir bersama dengan narasumber kita. Ya, narasumber kita pada siang kali ini adalah Mr. JS Wong dari Talariax PT Ltd Singapura. Halo JS, how are you JS?
Hai Pak Fanky, halo.
Ya. Nah, jadi sebelum acara, jadi kita akan dengarkan sedikit atau lihat sedikit bahan yang akan saya sharing bersama untuk mengawali dalam kegiatan kita kali ini. Oke, sudah bisa kelihatankah bahan saya, Amanda?
Yes, bisa.
Oke, jadi fault tolerance webinar series ini kita adakan sepanjang bulan Juni ya. Jadi di sepanjang bulan Juni ini nanti minggu depan juga ada lagi. Kemudian tiap Kamis jangan lupa pastikan Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan semua bisa ikut terus mendaftar ya dan mengikuti ya berbagai pembahasan kita terkait dengan solusi dan pembahasan terkait dengan tema ini ya. Nah, sekarang apa sih fault tolerance itu? Nah, fault tolerance itu sebetulnya adalah bagaimana kita bisa memastikan sistem itu tetap bisa beroperasi dengan baik ya, meskipun terjadi kegagalan gitu ya dalam komponennya. Jadi ini adalah definisi umum yang kita temukan di Wikipedia terkait dengan fault tolerance system ya. Nah, kalau kita bicara tentang fault tolerance system, biasanya memang ada hal yang tidak bisa kita tinggalkan. Salah satunya adalah redundansi ya. Nah, ini biasanya hubungannya sangat erat antara redundansi dan fault tolerance ya. Di mana apa sih yang kita fokuskan? Yang pertama biasanya adalah maintain dari uptime ya. Bagaimana perusahaan, bagaimana instansi tetap bisa berjalan meskipun sistemnya ada yang mengalami kegagalan. Nah, biasanya kalau kita agak detail ke dalam, ini biasanya pertama terkait dengan server atau perangkat hardware ya yang harus tetap bisa berjalan apabila terjadinya fault ya. Kemudian juga ada software ya, jadi tidak ada software failure ya. Jadi servisnya selalu tersedia. Kemudian yang terakhir adalah sistem. Nah, sistem ini banyak hal termasuk juga sampai ke network. Nah, ini terkait dengan fault tolerance system. Nah, kalau bicara tentang fault tolerance, ini kita akan bicara juga tentang high availability ya, karena high availability ini artinya selalu always on, selalu tersedia ya, dan ini biasanya memang melibatkan komponen lain ya untuk bisa memastikan semuanya berjalan dengan baik ya, tersedia. Dan ini biasanya kita melihat konsep apa yang kita kenal dengan namanya high availability. Nah, apa saja kalau kita lihat komponennya ya. Jadi yang pertama tadi adalah bicara tentang hardware, ada redundant hardware komponen. Nah, ini biasanya kita harus punya lebih dari satu perangkat, multiple device, mungkin ada kalau dibicara tentang UPS atau power supply, dia ada punya kemampuan untuk load balancing dan lain sebagainya. Kalau kita bicara lebih spesifik misalnya ke komponen tertentu ya, kita mengenal konsep yang namanya RAID, ini di storage ya atau di hard disk. Redundant Array of Independent Disk. Kemudian kalau kita bicara UPS, kita bicara sistemnya harus bisa tersedia meskipun power supply mengalami masalah gitu ya. Jadi ini UPS. Kemudian kalau perangkat atau logical server, ini juga ada konsep clustering. Dan terakhir tentu ada yang kita kenal dengan namanya load balancing ya. Jadi ini juga yang menjadi pertimbangan. Nah, dalam kesempatan kali ini kita akan melihat bagaimana solusi dari Sandquick ya, Talariax ini bisa memonitor ya fault tolerance system yang ada di tempat Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan sekalian ya. Jadi itu adalah awalan presentasi dari saya yang akan mengantar kita untuk mendengarkan presentasi dari Mr. JS Wong dari Talariax Sandquick ya, solusinya namanya Sandquick, dan saya kenal Mr. JS Wong ini we met in 205 ya, JS ya, the first time we met ya.
Yeah, a long time.
and until now, our company is becoming your reseller for Indonesia. Oke, tanpa menunggu lebih lama, saya akan langsung persilakan JS Wong untuk mempresentasikan solusinya untuk kita semua. Go ahead, Mr. JS.
Okay, thank you, Pak Fanky. Good afternoon, selamat siang, everyone. So I'm JS Wong from Talariax, Singapore company. Just a short overview that we are a Singapore company and we focus our business in the area of messaging. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about how messaging with notification management can be used in, especially in your objective to achieve in achieving your fault tolerance system or fault tolerant objective in your organization. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so the topic for my today's session is on using effective notification management for continuous operation. Right, so I think definitely for many people, right, in the IT space, right, having your systems to run continuously 24/7 is actually very important, especially now during COVID, right? So no one has anticipated that one day you will be asked or forced, right, to work from home most of the time. And today we have already been working from home for a year, right? More than a year for some of us. So I think it's very important that the systems that we have, that the infrastructure that we put in place is able to run continuously and allows you to manage and operate them locally as well as remotely, right? So today, this is a theme for my discussion, and I think it's very suitable, right, especially in view of what we have gone through for the last 12 months. And this will make it even more important for companies to look at how to ensure your systems are always working. So let's look at the reason, right? If it's not for COVID, right, there are many other reasons. So what are the reasons for companies that want to look at IT? Right? I think number one is that IT is today is definitely what we call a revenue driver. Okay, so many companies today, I think Indonesia has very good example. You have companies like Gojek, Tokopedia, right now it's called GoTo, right? And you have Traveloka, where all these companies actually depends on systems, on internet for their business. Just imagine if the internet or the systems are not working, how do they do business? They cannot do business. Right? So I think this is something that maybe in the past, maybe more than a year ago, we never think too much, but now become more critical. But this is not only for those big boys, right? Even your company, okay, everyone has the opportunity where the e-commerce, if you look at the trend, right, the e-commerce in Indonesia is always growing, right? So this is basically last year's number, but it's growing. No doubt the growth rate has come down, but it's still a very good number of 10% growth per year, right? But the sheer dollar value is definitely very, very impressive, and it's still growing. So if you are not in the e-commerce today, it's very important to get in and look at the possible potential and the business for your company. And with all this, right, definitely with e-commerce, there is a rise in demand for systems or for infrastructure that can actually run and make all this working. So you have like data center developer like Space DC, right? They start data center in Indonesia, and most recently, right, Tencent, the developer of WeChat in China, also started the data center in Indonesia. If I'm not wrong, AWS also started a data center in China, in Indonesia also. Right, so there is a lot of opportunity and a lot of demand in Indonesia. So I think this is something that actually reflects that the whole IT ecosystem is definitely developing very, very strongly and is actually good for the business in Indonesia. Okay, not only on the infrastructure side in terms of the IT usage. So with all these things that happen, work from home, and now people get used to working from home, that there is actually increase in IT usage, an increase in demand for IT systems or IT usage by the employees. Okay, and of course, with all this, you also bring to the other side of the coin, where there are problems, right? Where when you work from home, they are more exposed, and there will also be vulnerabilities, and some, the bad guys are also working as well, right? So not only that you are making sure that your people can work, but the bad guys are also trying to take advantage of the whole situation. So I think in view of all this, right, for you as an IT person, so it is very, very challenging work, right? So you look at the whole area of responsibility for you as IT manager. You have to look at the infrastructure, right, your UPS environment, your data center, your networking layer, your security, right? All these are under your responsibility. Even though you go on cloud, right? It's not just you go on cloud, it still has responsibility, right? You still to decide what kind of networking, what kind of bandwidth you want, what kind of security you want to buy from AWS, what kind of SIEM tools. So all this decision making still requires, even though you go to the cloud. Maybe in the cloud you don't have to look at the UPS, but other things still important. Of course, the application become more important, right? If without application, your user cannot work from home, or they cannot do anything from home, then the productivity is compromised, or you have problem with the productivity, and your business, your bosses will not be happy. So a lot of things, and of course, very important also the client devices, right? Last time we thought about BYOD, right? Bring your own devices, but now it's definitely use your own devices, right? For your work from home, right? Or you can use your office devices from home, right? So it's a different dimension. And how do you make sure that all these devices are actually working properly with the whole environment? So to manage all this, you put in your management tools, right? Either for network management, asset management, monitoring. There are so many different brands of tools for data center or DCIM. And with all these applications to manage and the tools that you put in, one very important aspect is that if something goes wrong, you must be notified. And that's where we come in, and this is the topic for today. We talk about notification and alerts on this area. So the whole idea here is that if any event happens, right, you must be informed, and informed immediately for you to help to solve problem. Okay, so I think one thing we need to recognize is that we make a lot of investments, whether is it on-premise or cloud, but we need to know, we need to be aware that despite all the investment and systems, we cannot eliminate downtime, right? Yes, we talk about fault tolerance, we talk about all this, N+1, but things can happen, right? You may not have downtime as in impacting the whole business, but downtime also defined as when some disturbance that requires your attention, right? It may not happen that your whole system is down or your whole network is down, but some components down, you still have to rectify. You have N+1, but if your +1 is, or your N is not working, your +1 is there, you must make sure that you quickly put back your infrastructure to N+1. Right? So I think that is the whole idea behind the IT operations. And that's where we come in to assist, right, the IT managers, IT directors to put in place or to make sure you're always in the know. You always know what's happening in your IT environment. Okay, but downtime is real. Downtime affects everyone, even big company like Amazon, right? Amazon is probably one of the biggest company, okay, they are one of the biggest company in the world today, right? And they are also invest a lot of money in the infrastructure, but it will still cause downtime. So when downtime happens, your company will suffer revenue loss. Just imagine if you are Tokopedia, right? And if your server is down for 1 hour, what does it mean? Well, yeah, people cannot access one hour, but not that they cannot access, but they cannot transact, right? You cannot collect money. You cannot sell things for 1 hour. So same thing, imagine Gojek. If Gojek is down for 1 hour, that 1 hour costs them a lot of money. Okay, so not only that you have revenue loss, you have affect customers and your reputation. Your customer will be unhappy, right? They will use your competitor, impact your reputation, right? People will talk about your poor services on the Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, then everybody know, oh, you have problems, right? So these are not good things, and company need to avoid, and these are also costs to the company. And of course, very important as well, your employee cannot work, or they are actually doing so-called unproductive things to troubleshoot all these problems. So these are impacts of system downtime that affects everyone. And none of us, whether we are big or small, is actually immune to this situation. It's just a matter of when this will happen, and when it happens, how much impact to you as an organization. Okay, so downtime affects everyone. Let's look at some examples. Of course, these are in the US, right? Even big company like Bank of America, right? So banks happen as well. I'm sure it does happen to some institutions in Indonesia, right? And another example of banks where it can crash, right? So again, downtime need not be just a problem of external people affecting you, but maybe undersizing, or maybe some of your servers are not performing well. It will also cause to downtime. Okay, so there are many reasons how this happens, but it affects everyone. So every one of you in the room today have potential to be impacted by this. Okay, of course, downtime can also be data breach, right? So these are also issues to be thinking about. Okay, so one thing to consider is that whenever there's a downtime, right, there's a cost. Okay, so some of you may not talk about, sometimes you say, well, how do I justify, you ask a question, how do I justify to my management? How do I justify to my boss to say, I need to buy a fault tolerance system, I need to buy a rate system, I need to increase my capacity, or how do I justify that I need to buy SendQuick now to do notification? Well, the justification is not whether you need or not, definitely you requires it, but looking at the dollar and cents is that, look at the other perspective. If there is a problem, what is the cost of downtime to you? I think that is the most critical, right? If you count the dollar and cents, the money, your management will definitely pay more attention, right? So this is something that is very, very useful, and the downtime to every company differs, right? So if you are a retailer, your downtime may be thousands of dollars. If you are a company as big as Gojek or Tokopedia, your downtime could be millions of dollars per hour. So the downtime cost is different. And downtime cost is measured in different way. For example, I mentioned just now, like loss of revenue, reputation costs, employee costs, and other costs, right? So there's a lot of different costs that can be computed. If you check the internet, there are a lot of studies on downtime costs that varies, increase up to like $500,000 for every hour is possible. Okay, so this is something that is very important for you as a company. Hopefully the takeaway one from today is that there's a way to measure downtime costs for you to justify to your management why you should have the fault tolerance and SendQuick together for your infrastructure. Okay, so some of the business impact of downtime: lost revenue, compliance failure, like damage to the brand, lower stock price, right? If you're public traded, mitigation costs, right? You need to rectify the problem, productivity loss, cost of mitigation, career. If you are the IT manager, and the downtime happens when you're the IT manager, well, your bosses may not be too happy. So that is something to think about. Okay, and of course, it may also impact the business. Okay, so you are the IT manager, right? You know that these are the facts, right? Downtime will happen, right? It costs company money. Now, what do you do? No, you're the IT manager. So what do you do? When you know that this thing will happen? So what do you recommend to your management? Okay, first you ask yourself, right? Does the IT systems, or in the case internet, is important for your company? Now, not every company will impact it the same way. Some companies depend a lot more on internet. Some companies depends less. Somebody depends more on IT systems, some company depends less. Okay, so this is some question to ask so they can actually evaluate, well, okay, is this very critical? I need to look into this more importantly. Is there an issue? If there is an issue, how do you get informed? Now, so a lot of people, most of the time we focus on the problem. We focus how we can identify the problem. For example, there are many tools, like your network monitoring, system monitoring, security monitoring, data center monitoring, to look for the problem. Yes, looking for the problem is very important. But sometimes, in fact, most of the time we forget that not only you must find the problem, you must get to know about the problem. Okay, so how do you know about the problem? Okay, so well, I have my NOC, my operations center, my people sit down there watching the TV screen or the big screen, nice big screen, right? And then when they see red light, they will call people. Okay, so yes, some of us do that, but that's a very expensive way of doing things. Okay, so are there different ways of doing informing or to notify? And that's why we hope to share with you today. Okay, and then of course is that after you get to know, how can a company respond quickly and solve the problem? All right, so this is what you need to ask yourself, is it important? How important is the IT to your company? If there's a problem, how do you get to know about it? And then when you get to know, how do you solve the problem? All right, so this is what you need to ask yourself when you seek for a solution or seek to solve your problem. So for every time you want to solve a problem, you must ask the questions first. So we look at how you manage, right? So there are many tools in the organization which you have done today, right? So there's application. We talked about application just now. Your systems management, applications monitoring, so you can identify the problems for you. You have the network layer, right? The network monitoring, the data center, the physical layer. Of course, you run virtual machines. You have the virtualization systems. Your vCenter, for example, your security, your firewall, your VPN, your server logs, everything. You have your security management system, the SIEM. Okay, and of course, if you are in the smart building facility, your SCADA, all this come into the picture. Now you say, what if I'm on AWS, right? Does it mean that I don't have all these? Well, the answer is no, right? AWS do not give you all these things for free, right? Just for your information. Okay, you have to pay for your EC2, you have to pay for your databases, you have to pay for all your different components you use in AWS. It's not free. And you also need to pay for the monitoring. Yes, AWS has their CloudWatch for you to monitor, but you also must pay for your monitoring. If you want to run your monitoring systems, you must pay and run the services separately. Your security, you can buy your firewall, you pay separately, same thing, everything you have to run. So even though you move to the cloud, right, the infrastructure thinking is the same. The tools that you use is the same, right? There's no difference. So there's no magic pill on the cloud. The cloud just help you to reduce maybe on the data center management side, or maybe it's reduce on the network, but you still need to monitor the bandwidth, the internal, external network usage, right? Everything you must still monitor. Well, how do we know? We run the cloud as well. Okay, we also run the cloud where we use one of the big four providers, and we also monitor all this information regularly. So when you're on the cloud, whether you're on cloud or on premise, right, there's no difference. So one of the very important component to work with all this is actually the incident or the notification portion. Okay, so this is where we actually want to talk about, right? Because you have the help desk incident response. The notification management is part of the incident response, and that's why we come in. Okay, if you look at so in every incident, your team needs to be notified before they can respond naturally, right? You want to respond, you want to make a resolution, you need to know first. You don't know, you cannot resolve. Okay, so you don't know, you cannot respond, right? So that is the gist of it. If you don't know, you cannot respond. So you cannot solve a problem if you don't know about it. And that's where we come in. And for every individual, right, the best way to inform you today is your cell phone, right? Your cell phone is the best device for you to get to know what's happening. Okay, so there are two critical determinants. So number one is that how fast can you be notified and can you reach our systems quickly? So this is to inform you, this is for you to resolve your problem. So there are different management tools in your organization that I shared just now, right, on the network, security, infrastructure. And now today, you can send messages independently from every system. So your people can get from different systems, very, very fragmented. So what we have, right, to make sure that you can achieve your fault tolerant and what we call cut away the noise, right? Don't send me too many things. Give me the important, the relevance, and the correct information is we put our SendQuick solution. Okay, we centralize, we do the policy, we clean up the information, take away what we call all the noise, and then concentrate everyone into one place, easy for you to manage so that your IT team can be notified easily. And today we have more than 2,000 customers worldwide using our SendQuick every day, right, for their IT management and complement all the different systems in their environment. So how do we work? So what SendQuick does is that, like I mentioned, as an IT person, IT manager, remember, right, there's a cost of downtime. So when downtime happens, downtime does not mean that power failure. Downtime can be everywhere. Okay, it can be a database problem. It can be a network issue. It can be a switch down, a router problem. It can be every kind of things, or even a malware, right? So when all these things happens, right, we actually receive all the messages information through email, system SNMP trap, process the messages, and very importantly, send to the IT team, receive it on your mobile phone, your cell phone. Your cell phone will receive the messages at any point of time. And that is where it's very, very important because your cell phone is the device that you carry with you. You have it with you even when you go to toilet or even when you go to sleep, right? This always beside you because your cell phone today is also your alarm clock, right? At least for me, it's my alarm clock. Okay, so that's where SendQuick brings up the information and send it to the user of your IT people when there's a problem. And when we send to you, right, yes, we do a lot of SMS text, but the beauty of it today for SendQuick is that we are ready or we can already send to customers on many different types of messengers, right? Whether you're on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on Facebook Messenger, or even collaboration tools like Slack, Teams, Webex, we can send to you. Okay, so today we have many customers who are still using SMS, but also many customers who are using Telegram, using Line, like for example, in Thailand, in the Taiwan, also using Slack, using Teams, all kinds. So depending on your preference. So naturally, you can choose because your cell phone is the way to receive messages, and receiving messaging is very important. But I'm not talking about receiving messages from your friend for going to the cinema or whatever. We're talking about IT notification. The notification comes to you immediately, goes to your cell phone. You look at your cell phone, oh, there's some problem. Then you can decide to go back to office or go to your VPN or to get your colleague or your team, right, to work on the problem. So we actually reduce the time that you can respond so we can quickly respond and cut down the downtime or solve the problem as fast as you can, right? So that actually leads back to your ability to handle your fault tolerance, right, as well as to reduce downtime. So what is SendQuick, right? Just a quick one. So SendQuick, very importantly, is compatible with all applications. So when you want to have a way to send notification, that's why we call this a notification management. We can notify from everything. So we must achieve compatibility. So we are compatible with data center messages. So if you are managing your data center with your UPS, with your so-called your crack, your aircon cooling, your power and everything, that you can use SendQuick. Your network management, your different tools that you have, your systems operation, your security, right? Whether you're running products like Splunk or LogRhythm or others, also your help desk tools. So all these are compatible with SendQuick to send messages to the users, to your to your IT administrator or IT support team. And very importantly, give you the ease of mind is that it's unlimited license. And of course, we have a very wide range of messaging options. I mentioned just now, SMS, you can do Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Slack, Teams. In fact, now we also add on to do voice call. You can call the voice. If you cannot hear the SMS, we'll call you, right? You ring your phone so that you will be waken up and answer the phone call, right? So this is also available today in SendQuick products. Okay, so so you may say, well, does SendQuick able to address by different requirements? Well, the beauty of it is that my answer is yes. Let's look at where SendQuick can actually fit into your environment. You say, what if I still have my on-premise system, right? My data center or my computer room, I want to get notification. Is it possible? Yes, our on-premise solution can be our appliance, hardware appliance, or our virtual machines. You can use it on your on-premise, and you can use it to send messages to your cell phone with all the different messaging format. On-premise, we can do that as well. Okay, of course, we have our cloud to help you to do that. They said, what if I have moved my applications to the public cloud, my AWS, my Azure, or Alibaba, whichever, right? So can I still use, because I don't know, when I move to the cloud, I buy EC2, for example, I cannot install appliance. When I don't want to pay to install virtual machines. No, do you have a SaaS model? Yes, we have. Our service called SendQuick Cloud has a SaaS model. Basically allows you to configure and then send your email, and we can do some monitoring like ping, port URL check. And then when we detected that your AWS instance not working, we will send you a notification on your cell phones, right? Whether is it through SMS, through Line, through WeChat, all these are available. And you said, what if I'm running on different cloud? No, not the big guys here, but the cloud that is basically native to Indonesia. Can it work? Well, definitely. I said, as long as you can send an email to our system, we can actually work with you. Just that we do not have, because there are so many, right? They can be from the telco or from Indosat or from the independent provider. It doesn't matter, right? SendQuick Cloud is actually compatible to all standard protocol using SMTP, right? We are compatible, or using webhook or HTTP, right? So this is also compatible. So there's something that you can think about. If you progress, what if we move to hybrid, right? We are a large company, we are hybrid of on-premise, public, and we're something on private cloud as well. Is it possible? The answer is yes, right? Remember, we are virtual machines. So the virtual machine that SendQuick has allows you to deploy on your virtual machine environment, right? VMware, for example. In fact, we have a virtual machine instance that's compatible to AWS. You can deploy straight from AWS. We have that as well. Okay, so you can actually run it in your environment and run it for your private cloud. So I think from this diagram, you can say SendQuick is actually a notification management for all companies, right? Be it we are on-premise, public cloud, or private cloud. So this allows you the peace of mind that wherever you go, you can get notification to ensure your continuous operation. Okay, so that is where, as a IT manager, IT director today, it's very important. Yes, I know that you have invested a lot, whether it's on cloud or on-premise, in your infrastructure, on your UPSs, on your monitoring, but very important, don't forget, the whole equation only as good if your engineer, if your administrator get to know the problem, right? It's like, no, it's everything else the same, right? If you don't know the problem, it's just like your car, right? If your car do not tell you your petrol on your car, right? If there's no E, if there's no E to tell you that you're low in petrol, you don't know, you keep driving, one day your car will stop. No more petrol, no more gas, right? So that's why there's an E, it's to notify you, right? The thing become red color, notify you. So same thing in your IT planning. You need to be notified because you are not going to be in the office 24/7. You need to have time with your family. You need to have time to go to the movies, right? Well, watch movies, right? You need to have time for your own time. But if something goes on urgent enough, it's important to let you know. Only when you know, you can solve problem. Okay, so because after you know, you can solve problem, but how do you solve them quickly? Now that brings to the next part, because we talk about availability, we talk about so-called fault tolerant. So not only that we can have systems to let you know and what's happening, but you need to quickly look at it. Even if you have RAID system, for example, okay, so even your RAID hard disk, right, you should not leave the hard disk in the RAID spoiled for long. You should quickly take out the spoiled one and replace. So that's what it's all about in fault tolerant, not to push your luck too far, right? To let the system handle, because you never know. The RAID card may fail or more hard disk may fail, right? So you have to resolve quickly even though you have backup. So that is the whole thinking, right? After you get to know, you must resolve. So how do you resolve? And one way, of course, you go on site and solve the problem. Or the other part of it is to resolve it by remote access, right? So your data center now, we work from home. You've been working from home for the last 12 months, right? You are not allowed sometimes by rule, like in Singapore now, we are not allowed to gather more than 2 people. Okay, so the law prohibits you from doing some things. So that slow down your response. So how do you manage that? So how do you access your data center where your servers are, your applications are from your home? So to bridge that, we can use remote access. Okay, so remote access, you can achieve for faster response because you don't have to travel, no more traffic, right? Just turn on your internet, turn your laptop, you can go through your network and go to your data center. But when you do that, make sure you're doing it securely, right? So that's why in this area of topic today, I'll talk about when you access from your home to the data center, you must access it securely with 2-factor authentication. Make sure that you are logging in, right, with 2-factor to ensure that the people that the systems know that you are the authorized person or the real person or the valid person. And if you are not doing that, I think this is something very, very important. And on SendQuick side, we have a solution called the Connexa that performs 2-factor authentication when you access from your home. Okay, so when you access from your home to your data center or to your network environment, whether you're through SSL VPN, any of the VPN brands, or through your applications, right, your web applications, or through Windows, or through your Windows like remote desktop, or through your Citrix, right, all this can perform 2-factor authentication. So what is 2-factor authentication? Basically, it means that when you log in, we check you 2 times. Right, the first time you enter your username password. The second time, you are given an OTP, right? There's an OTP, right? OTP, and you need to enter the one-time passcode. OTP is one-time PIN or one-time passcode, right? You enter the one-time passcode to verify that you are the correct person. And only upon successful verification, then you can see the internal applications, right? This to avoid being compromised for your systems. Okay, so when you log in from your PC, your laptop, or your tablet, you go through the secure devices, and then SendQuick will perform the 2-factor, either send through SMS, OTP, or we have a soft token, right? A free soft token on the App Store. We can generate the OTP and enter the OTP to the system, and then we do verification to your Active Directory or your database. And once it's verified properly, you can access to the network of the information. Okay, so this allows you to respond. So we talk about the notification. After you've been notified, you need to access to your systems quickly, but must be securely, right? To access securely so that you can actually solve the problem, and then your office, everything come back to normal. Okay, so SendQuick can actually assist you along the way in the notification and in the 2-factor authentication. So as a summary, so how does notification help your business in terms of your responsiveness, as well as your ability to be operating continuously, and of course, naturally achieve a good fault-tolerant environment in your IT environment. Okay, so with SendQuick, number 1, right, we give you alerts for early notification. Okay, so very important, you must know first. Okay, always remember, you must know. If you don't know, you cannot solve the problem. Then once you know, what do? You don't wait, right? You don't, well, let's see, let's wait for things to happen. No, you don't do that, right? You must do immediate response. So immediate response is in a few ways, right? Response to the solution, to the problem, look for solutions, and activate your people as well. So immediate response is very important. Immediate response also means how fast can you get to your systems to solve the problem. That's also your immediate response. Why is it important? Because all these responses that you're doing is to help you to reduce system downtime. Right? Because downtime, like I mentioned earlier, does not mean a total failure. It doesn't mean even if a RAID system, one hard disk fail is also considered a possible downtime. You must quickly change your hard disk. Right? Because if you have 3 or 5, if today fail one, how do you know the next one will not fail in the next 1 hour? You don't know, right? And you cannot wait. You have to solve the problem. And that's what you have to do, right? Reduce the downtime. Why is that important? Because by reducing downtime, you're actually reducing or minimizing your business and operation loss for your company. Okay, so these are very important elements for you to know and to consider. If you are today your IT manager, your IT director, or even if you are the boss of your company, right, you have to ask yourself, today, how resilient are we? How ready are we to be fully fault tolerant or redundant? Okay, so by putting the infrastructure alone is not enough, right? You must be able to put in the communication component. Okay, so because always remember, if a problem happens and your people does not know, right, you're not solving problem. Okay, so how frequent that you didn't know that your mail server is not working? How frequent you found out that your website not working because your customer complained, right? So these are the issues because you don't know. You're not aware of things happening. And that's where SendQuick comes in, right? We come in to make sure that you run your system's peace of mind. We make sure that when something goes wrong, we alert you fast so that you can have immediate response and you can sleep well every day. Okay, so that is the conclusion that I have for today. And if you need to know more information, these are some of our customers, right, just to share with you. Okay, and then we are based in Singapore, and of course, DCM is our partner in Indonesia, right? You can always talk to DCM, and we'll definitely be glad to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, yes. So much thing ya in SendQuick can do for your business ya. Oke, Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian, silakan kalau ada yang mau bertanya. Wah, ini langsung nih. Pak Anwar Nugraha bertanya ya. Saya langsung bacakan saja. The question from Anwar Nugraha, GS, for SendQuick, number 1, do we need to use SIM card?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question number 1. You can answer it first. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, the answer is yes and no, right? So, okay, maybe let me just come back to the diagram. Okay. So the beauty of SendQuick today is that we are multi-mode, right? We are multi-mode in terms of how we deliver the messages, right? So we can support SIM card. We come with a modem, right? Can support SIM card, so you can actually use a SIM card to do the SMS transmission. But you said, if I do not want to use SIM card, can I use the cloud and deliver the SMS through the operator? Yes, we have our cloud, which is we call SendQuick ESP, to deliver directly to the operator like Telkomsel, XL, Indosat, also no problem. Right? And you said, well, can I use the internet and then deliver to like Telegram, Teams, WhatsApp? Yes, we can do so. So really, the whole thing is your choice. Of course, you may ask them, why do I still want to use a SIM card? Good question, right? Because sometimes, right, if you come from some industries we call the CII, critical information infrastructure, right? Maybe you are from the hospital, healthcare, you're from government, you're from banks, or maybe like utilities, or maybe like the electricity company. There are some regulation and guidelines or say that you cannot connect to internet. If you cannot connect internet, then how do you send message out if you don't have internet? You cannot send to the telco. That's why the SIM card. The SIM card is useful. You can actually use this to transmit SMS directly from the SIM card to the phone via SMS. So that's also possible. So in the end, it's your choice, right? We don't say that you must use this or must use that. It's a choice of your infrastructure, the choice of your messaging requirement.
Okay. Okay, the next question is there any notification that we can get if the recipient already received or accept the message?
Okay, good question, right? So SendQuick is not just so-called one-way transmission, right? If you just do that, then we do not add enough value. So we have additional features or functions like policy filter. So the message comes in, we can actually process the message and look at the message. Okay, this is important for you. We will send to the right people. So for example, let's say you have security, right? So there's a hacking happening, like a DDoS, for example, right? So there's no need to send this message to the database administrator because he cannot do anything. But it's very important to send the DDoS to the security person or the firewall in charge because he can do something, right? So we have this capability. And then we also have a reminder and escalation where we can send to you and you need to acknowledge. You can pick your phone and send a reply, acknowledge. Now, if you did not acknowledge, we'll escalate to your other manager, escalate to 5 levels, right? And then when you remind or when you acknowledge, we can send this message and with a timestamp to your other colleagues. So you said we send to 5 people, right? 1 person acknowledge, then the other 4 will receive the message that this person has acknowledged. So all these are already built inside the SendQuick system. And we also log all these messages inside the system. So yes, we have all this record for you.
Yeah. Okay. The third question is, do this SendQuick is subscribe based like cloud, or you can buy the hardware or the units or appliance? Yeah.
Okay, again, it's your choice, right? So as you can see from this diagram, the blue circle is where we are. So if you are running on-premise and you have no internet, then you have no choice. You must buy the on-premise. On-premise can be an appliance or virtual machine. But if you run on cloud, you can use our SendQuick Cloud SaaS service. So this is subscription. You pay per user, right? And you can go as small as 3 or 5 users, right? Depending on the size. So we have different solutions for you. Even your on-premise system, so, well, my on-premise, I want to use cloud, also can, right? You can use the on-premise, trigger the email out to the internet, to our cloud, also can use. But we need to let you know that if anything disturbance on the internet, let's say your firewall is down, your switches is down, you cannot send the internet email out, you will not get notification. But you won't, because nothing can go up. Okay, so that's why companies are still using on-premise, right? Because this allows them to send notification even internet is down. So these are different choices that SendQuick provide to the customers. Fanky?
Sorry, disconnected.
Okay. I thought I was disconnected.
Okay. We have another question. Sorry ya. Wah, udah hilang nih pertanyaannya. Tadi Pak siapa terakhir tanya ya? Ada nggak di Amanda, di kamu masih ada nggak chatnya yang terakhir?
Kayaknya pribadi, Pak, nggak ada di aku.
Oh iya ya, ke saya nih.
Ah,
Tadi Pak siapa itu yang bertanya, sebentar ya. Saya lihat tadi Pak Pak Hendro Priyatman ya, atau siapa ya tadi ya? Boleh diulang Pak pertanyaannya Pak di chatbox ke saya Pak. Sorry tadi terputus internet saya nih. Silakan Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan yang lain, kalau ada pertanyaan lagi silakan. Ini menarik sekali karena dari SendQuick kita bisa lihat banyak solusi yang bisa digunakan untuk memonitor perangkat ya, sistem ya, kemudian sampai ke database ya. Silakan pertanyaannya tadi terakhir ada yang ketinggalan pertanyaannya. Silakan diulang tadi ya. Saya lupa Pak, siapa tadi bertanya? Pak Hendro sepertinya tadi di chat saya terhapus ini waktu saya disconnected. Silakan dikirim ulang pertanyaannya untuk kita bahas. Silakan, apa lagi pertanyaan-pertanyaan dari Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan? Nah, ini kalau kita lihat tadi solusi SendQuick bisa digunakan untuk memonitor banyak hal ya, mulai dari perangkat, server, aplikasi, database. Nah, mungkin ada yang menarik juga dalam pengalaman kami mengimplementasi ya beberapa hal ini, message yang diterima, message mesin bisa diterimanya sebagai message yang jauh lebih mudah kita mengerti ya. Oke, ini ada pertanyaan Pak Yonatan Prasetyo. Can we arrange the message to be sent to specific department based on the task of the department itself? So we can distribute the message ya. Maksudnya mungkin itu ya, Pak Yonatan ya. Yes, Wong?
Okay, I think I need a bit more details in terms of how you want to distribute. Okay, but what we have is that if we look at the IT management point of view, that if you have different incident events. So, for example, let me take the firewall example again. So, when the firewall happens or there's an intrusion happening, and you want to send the messages out. Based on only to be received by the security department of people, yes, you can, because we have a filter policy, where the policy will look at the origination of the message, for example, where it comes from, or the content based on some keywords, right? So based on that, you can specify the recipient, either by phone number, by name, or by group. So if you specify that this is a security event, only message to the security department, yes, this can be done.
Okay. So I think you can also explain about some filtering rule, yeah, yes, yeah, in the system, yeah.
Yeah. So like Fanky mentioned, okay, so we have a filtering rules in our system, which in the IT management point of view is very flexible, because we accept 3 different formats, right? So we can accept number 1, email, SMTP. So if you send email to us, we can receive the messages. Number 2, we can receive a syslog, right? So most of your systems, whether your router, your switches, your firewall, you can send syslog. And number 3, we can also receive SNMP trap. So with all these 3, I think number 1 that we have done is that we have ensured that you have high compatibility, right, with the different systems that you have in your IT environment. So today, like I mentioned, we have more than 2,500 customers. We have seen so many applications that are being used with SendQuick. Any brand you mentioned, I think we have customers who are using SendQuick together with those products. So with this, we design a policy that allows you to specify, right, based on the from field, the subject field, or the message content. And we have what I call the Boolean. You can actually do an and or relationship, or to match what's happening within the message. And when it matches, we will send a notification to you. And we send to you, we can send to you based on your group. And we can also let you choose how you want to receive messages. So like I mentioned that we are seeing more and more customers interested in using like Telegram, like Microsoft Teams, like Slack to receive their notification, yeah, so they're actually doing that. But if you ask me, well, what if my internet not very stable, you send to Slack, I don't receive, or what if Slack server is down, I don't receive. Can I have Slack and SMS? Yes, we can do that. So we have what I call a fallback, or what I call a retry, that if you send to Slack or send to Microsoft Teams, they cannot receive, we will retry and send it out to you via SMS. We also have all these features built in the system. So it's very flexible, very useful, and our job is to help you to send the message to your people in as many ways as possible.
Ya. Oke, itu Pak Yonatan. Yang menarik tadi saya lagi ngomong itu ya. Jadi kalau message-nya, misalnya message-nya dari mesin itu kan biasanya bahasa mesin ya. Nanti sama SendQuick ini bisa ditranslate menjadi bahasa yang jauh lebih mudah kita mengerti sebagai human, sebagai manusia ya. Yes, I mentioned that in SendQuick we have the capability to change if we receive the common, for example, the message in from machine, but we can translate it, or you can send it the message to be more easy to understand by human.
Yeah, you can specify the English language, yeah, or bahasa also can, yeah.
Okay, Pak Hendro bertanya, how about of redundancy for transmitter data system? Transmitter data system maksudnya apa nih Pak Hendro? Mungkin bisa dibuka mic-nya atau apa? Redundancy of transmitter data system. Pak Hendro monitor.
Oh ya.
Ya, maksudnya apa nih Pak? Transmitter data sistemnya apa?
Transmitter data system berarti sistem konverter analog digital sinyalnya itu Pak. Jika ada gangguan, apakah dia bisa mengcover itu Pak?
Oh, jadi maksudnya dari sistem lain kirim ke SendQuick,
betul.
Gitu?
Betul. Nah, terus jika terjadi gangguan, apakah dia bisa mengcovernya gitu Pak? Atau mengganti dengan software dari SendQuick sendiri gitu?
Oh, oke. Mungkin ini kali ya maksudnya Pak Hendro Priyatnan ini. Jadi misalnya kalau kita punya perangkat sistem yang mengkonversi data dari analog ke digital, kemudian data itu dikirimkan ke SendQuick. Nah, apabila terjadi problem dengan perangkat itu, SendQuick bisa, kalau mengalertnya sih pasti bisa sih Pak.
Iya.
Tapi kalau misalnya pertanyaannya redundansi dari transmitter data system, jadi kalau di SendQuick itu sebenarnya bisa ngirim datanya tadi kan ada berbagai cara ya. Jadi bisa pakai modem, bisa pakai email, bisa pakai Telegram gitu. Iya, jadi sebetulnya dari SendQuick mungkin bisa membantu kalau misalnya terjadi kegagalan. Dan di SendQuick sendiri sebetulnya bisa banyak modem. Ya, bisa banyak modem dipasang. JS, can you share the success story of the implementation that more than one modems implementation ya? Because I heard in Malaysia we have some implementation case. In Indonesia we also have around 7 modems, Pak. Jadi 7 modems in the same unit. Yeah, you can send the message through the 7 modems. In Malaysia, I think more than 7. JS, can you share some experience about that?
I guess Pak Hendro is asking more on the redundancy of the SendQuick and how we can manage the messaging portion. A couple of ways, like Pak Fanky mentioned. So if you look at the transmitter, which is the 3G modem, right? In that aspect, if we can put multiple modems. So maybe for Indonesia example, we can put like 3 modems, right? One put the SIM card of the Telkomsel, one for Indosat, one for XL. Okay, so we have automatic load balance. That's number 1. Number 2, we can also tell the system that if I happen to send a message using the Telkomsel SIM card, and the Telkomsel SIM card for some reason not able to send, it could be the modem or the SIM card. When we do a retry, we can retry with a different modem. Right, so you don't use the spoil or the so-called cannot send modem, right? So this is built in the system. And then SendQuick can also run in the redundancy of high availability. You run two servers, right? One above the other. Okay, and each of them have their own modem to do the transmission. So that is also possible. Okay, so there are different various ways. And today our customers, especially those who requires very high resiliency on SendQuick for notification, like the banks, the government, or or data center, they run a lot of the SendQuick in high availability pairs, right? And if they want to have resiliency on the mobile or the telco operator connections, they run two modems minimum. So they have two different SIM cards from two different operators, right, to give them the redundancy. Of course, like you mentioned, we actually have customers who run 6, 8, 10 modems. That's usually either for redundancy or more for load sharing, right? Because modem has a little bit of limitation in terms of speed. So you have more, you can transmit much faster. So there are different ways of handling for the customers.
Ya, itu ya Pak Hendro ya. Mudah-mudahan menjawab ya. Oke, thank you Pak. Ya, makasih Pak Hendro. Ya. Berikutnya Pak Chandra Andi Wijaya. How about the SendQuick licensing? Is there any?
Okay, so the good news is that for the on-premise and virtual machine is a one-time license, right? So we do not limit the number of users. You want to send to 1 people or send to 1,000 people, it's the same price. You say, well, if I want to use with many, many applications, also the same price. So that is the beauty of SendQuick. There's only one area that we license by number of modem. If you only need one modem, you only pay one time. Okay, so that's the beauty. Of course, if you go to SaaS service on the cloud, then we go by per user, right? So then on per user wise, of course, it's a bit different, right? So it go by per user and depend on the number of users that you have. Okay? And of course, it's very affordable, right? We talk about very small amount for per user per month basis. So it's very similar to how many SaaS kind of services for our SendQuick Cloud. So it's very, very tuned for the companies.
Ya, itu ya Pak Chandra Adi Wijaya. Berikutnya Pak Hendri Kurnia. I found SendQuick product in your website. Can you explain what difference SendQuick Enterprise and SendQuick Alert Plus?
Okay, there are too many models, right? So of course, today's focus, we talk about two, right? One basically is the SendQuick for notification, which Alert Plus is the key model, right? So basically in the SendQuick family of product, we organize according to how you use, right? Because of the messaging, the use case can be so broad. So we design according to different use. So just instead of explaining everything, I think for today, we talk about one use case, which is the IT notification, which we have Alert Plus and Terra in the pool. And then we also talk about the two-factor authentication via Connexa. If you wish to know more, you can drop me an email or drop to DCM an email, and then we can actually follow up with you to explain to you more.
Oke, Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan, apakah pertanyaan lagi nih Pak Hendri ya. So what are the requirements need for on-premise standard alert system that support WhatsApp and call alert notification?
Okay, so there are actually two parts of the preparation, right? So when you want to put a SendQuick, we always say prepare three things, right? Number one, power. You need the power to connect for SendQuick. Well, we need power, okay? So number two, we actually need the IP address. So you need to connect the SendQuick to your network with IP and the LAN cable. And if you use the modem, number three, you need a SIM card, right? Just three things: power, LAN cable, IP address, and SIM card. Okay, when you need to run the WhatsApp, now WhatsApp requires internet. Okay, because WhatsApp, we are not sending through the SIM card. We are going to send through the internet to the WhatsApp official server. That's what we are doing. And to do that also, right, we will help you, right? We'll help you to apply for an official WhatsApp account so that you can send the messages properly. Now, WhatsApp has their own rules, okay, to send messages through WhatsApp. Okay, so you may need to follow the rules, right? Because these rules are, again, like I said, It's actually enforced by WhatsApp or Facebook. They are the one who guard it. If you don't follow the rules, they may suspend the account. Okay, so again, if you need to know more, we can assist you right in the whole process.
Oke. Oke, ada lagi pertanyaan dari Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan? Ya, sudah jam 3:11. Sepertinya kita sudah harus tutup. Sebelum closing, kita mau foto bersama dulu.
Bapak, Ibu, rekan-rekan, silakan aktifkan video. Kita akan foto bersama. Kita capture dulu ya.
Silakan aktifkan semua videonya, kita foto bersama dulu.
Kak Aldi, tolong capture ya.
Silakan aktifkan videonya, kita foto bersama semua, Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan.
Ya, bentar.
Sudah? Aldi?
Sudah, Pak.
Oke. Sudah kita foto bersama. Oke, JS, I think we need your closing remark.
Okay, definitely I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to share with all of you, right? And thank you for taking your time off to attend the session. I just want to leave you with just one point, right? To bring back, basically is that for you as an IT manager or IT director or IT administrator, always remember that downtime is something that you cannot avoid. Okay, so it's like us human, right? You can exercise every day, drink a lot of water, eat your vitamin, eat your vegetable, eat your fruits, you still will fall sick. Okay, so the same for your system. You can take all your precautions, things will still happen. Okay, so it's the key here is not to be worried that when that this thing will happen. It's to plan that when something happens, you can get to know about it immediately and also able to respond quickly to solve the problem. So you must know, always remember, you can only solve the problem if you know, right? And you can solve it if you can respond quickly. Okay, so that's what I want you to take away from today's session.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, JS Wong, for together with us in our first webinar talking about the fault tolerance system. Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan, terima kasih untuk kebersamaannya pada sore kali ini. Jangan lupa tanggal 9 kita masih ada webinar tentang cloud-based enterprise management system, enterprise service management. Kemudian tanggal 10 kita akan lanjut membahas tentang untangle fault tolerance system ya dengan solusi dari produk Moderator. Silakan Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan mendaftar ulang di eventcerdas.com. Tetap sehat, tetap semangat, sampai bertemu kembali di minggu depan ya. Terima kasih. JS Wong, Lee, thanks again so much.
Thank you.
Ya.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks. Thank you.
Ya.
Bye.
Bapak Ibu terima kasih, tetap semangat, tetap sehat semua ya. Terima kasih.